Are you getting bookings from your webinar? Well, in today's video, I am going over scripting to help you get more patient bookings off of the webinars that you do. Make sure you stay until the end, because I'm going to give you a tried and true method of making sure that you're getting more bookings from your webinars. Hey, it's Jackobs here, and thank you so much for stopping by the channel and getting your sales fix on. And I really enjoy doing these videos, and I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Just click that little button there and make sure that you hit the notify button, because every time that I put one of these videos out, you'll be notified, and hopefully these videos are making your business better. That's certainly my goal, is to give you some nuggets that you can take away and implement straight away in your business so that it can become a better and bigger business. So here's the issue. You have this great webinar. You have registrations. You have people actually showing up for the webinar because you've phoned them up on some of the other videos that I've gone through and taught you how to do that. And now there they are, and you're instilling on them some of the knowledge that you have in the hopes that you convert them at the end of the webinar. Right? That's the whole point of you doing your webinar, is to make conversions at the end. Now, how do you get people to take action at the end of your webinar? What's the next step that you want them to take? So whenever I'm coaching people that either do public speaking or webinars, on camera work, I always want to talk to them about what's the end goal of your presentation or your talk or your webinar. What do you want them to do? What's the next step? And a lot of times, a lot of the folks, they tell me, oh, I want to sell my big program. And I have to remind them, we don't ask somebody to marry them on the very first date. So we have to date and get them to know, like, and trust you. We have to go on a few dates, a few drinks, and then you can propose marriage, which would be your big program. So what's the goal of the webinar? For most folks, it's that next step, which might be to book that consultation. Let's be honest, the discovery call, the impact call is what I call mine, the strategy call, it's all code for sales call, right? So I'm just going to call it a sales call on this video so that we're all on the same page for what it really is. And it is a sales call. And that's fine, because that's what people want. They want to understand, what can you do to solve their problem? So now that we know that the next step is to book a discovery call, now you need to start to do a couple things. Number one is that you need to seed the sale. And when I say the sale, it's the next step, the discovery call. And that seeding of the sale might sound something like this. So for many of you on this webinar, you're going to have a lot of questions at the end of the webinar, and certainly an hour is not going to be enough time to go through everything in the amount of detail that you're going to need. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and make a commitment to have a short discovery call with me where we can go into depth any specific questions that you might have. And certainly this webinar may not be appropriate for some of the questions that you might have in such a large forum. So I encourage you to stay until the end, and I'm going to tell you the whole process of how to book that discovery call. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, so let's dive right into the program. There, you're planting the seed that, okay, well, he's going to give me some information about how to book a discovery call after he's done giving the content. So now they are in that frame of reference that they're grabbing that information, and then they're thinking about all the different questions that they're going to have. So at the end of the webinar, when you give the offer for the free discovery call, then they're like, okay, great, I'm going to go ahead and book it because I've taken note, I know what the next step is, and everybody is on the same page. So not only can you seed the discovery call sale, but you can also seed the sale after that, which would be to then work with them on a one-to-one basis. So it might sound something like this. So for many of you, you're going to have a lot of questions, and this forum, we only have 60 minutes, and this forum is not always appropriate for the type of questions that you might have. So certainly at the end of the call, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to be giving you an opportunity to book a discovery call with me and to see if working with me would be a good next step. And on that discovery call, if we determine we'd fit well together and I can definitely help you, then we can talk about what it might look like to work with me. But I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself there. But definitely you want to book that discovery call so we can find out more about what is going on in your life and how I can help you out. So there, breaking that down a little bit, is we're talking about the discovery call, and then we're talking about the next step after that, which is working with you one-on-one. So now they're going, okay, it's not just a discovery call. There I determine if you're a good fit for me and you can definitely help me. And then if we determine that that's okay, then we're going to go on to the next step. So now somebody has a roadmap in front of them and they know exactly what the step process is going forward. And now they can start to plan. And so that's going to make that discovery call so much easier for you to take them over to the next step. So we have the seeding of the sale, which is a discovery call, and then we're going to further fertilize that seed with another statement to talk about the next step after that, so people have this roadmap in front of them. So it's first you want to seed the sale, the discovery call, and then mention just kind of briefly, almost on an offhand comment, like, oh, and then if we're a good fit, then we can talk about working further with me one-on-one. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let's talk about the next step, which is to book that discovery call. And right there, you've seeded that first sale, the discovery call, and then further fertilized it and talked about the next step of working with you one-on-one. So let me ask you a really quick question, and if you have the answer to it, just go ahead and post it down below in the comment section. But if you're doing webinars right now, are you seeding that sale early on in the webinar, or are you waiting until the very end to talk about the next step, and then it's kind of a surprise? So just make a comment below. I'd love to hear kind of what you're doing on your webinar and kind of what the results are. Now that you've seeded the sale and told people what the next step is, and then the next step after that, now you want to make sure that you have good quality candidates sitting in front of you. Because there's nothing worse than having a completely disqualified candidate sitting in front of you, asking you a bunch of questions with no intention to follow through and actually implement what you're teaching them and ultimately buy your program. So this technique is what I call the takeaway. So in this technique is certainly not mine, but it's used commonly in sales. But it's telling people, I will work with you, but I'm not going to work with you. So you're telling people exactly the type of people that you like to work with. Now, there are a ton of different ways of implementing this, and I encourage you to find one that works well with you and that really feels very authentic to you as well. My favorite is actually laying out who your ideal client is, who you love to work with, and why you love to work with them. Now, some of you are probably cringing right now and saying, what? I can't exclude anybody. I love working with everybody. Well, guess what? Newsflash, you can't help everybody out there. And if you want somebody to see you as an expert in your field, then definitely you want to niche down and be the expert in that niche. And then you can be everywhere to that niche. And the beautiful thing is, when you're an expert in one niche, everybody's going to think you're an expert for every niche. This actually happened to me all the time. I would go to networking events and I would stand up, and this was when I was doing a sales training program for insurance agents, and I would say something like, I specialize in helping insurance agents build a better sales system for their staff so they grow their revenue. When I did that, I would have people come up to me afterwards and say, you know, I know you specialize in helping insurance agents, but can you help me with my painting company? Or can you help me with my architect company? Or can you help me with my accounting firm? It was incredible the amount of business that I got outside of my niche, because I was now seen as an expert in helping insurance agents with their sales process. Because if somebody sees you as an expert in your field, they're going to reach out no matter what, because they're going to automatically assume that you're expert in any field. The other way of doing the takeaway close is to say something like, well, I specialize in helping people with XYZ problem, and who are willing to invest the time and effort to solve the problem. Because while I would love for there to be a quick fix for it, there isn't, and there's going to be a lot of work involved. Now, when you break down that sentence, there's a very key word in there, and that word is invest. When anybody says invest, whether you say invest time, invest effort, automatically, because of the connotation of what invest is, investment comes with money. And so everybody's automatically thinking money. Say invest. So without saying money, you're saying money by saying invest. So it's very key that you say, I'm looking for people who are willing to invest their time and effort to solve their problem. Because while there isn't a quick fix, or while I wish there was a quick fix, there really isn't, and there's going to be some work involved. And so I want to work with people who are willing to do the work. And they're all the little tire kickers, the people that just want the quick fix, the pill, they're turned off. They're not going to come bother you. And being in the fitness industry for as long as I was, when I had that client that, you know, wouldn't do anything, and they never followed the instructions. They would show up, they never lost weight, and they would blame me for not losing the weight, even though they went home and ate ice cream and fried chicken and did all the things that they weren't supposed to be doing in terms of their diet and exercise, and you just don't want that type of clientele. The best time to do the takeaway close and seeding the sale is actually at the very top of the webinar, and then you want to sprinkle it through the webinar as well. So it's not just one time that you do it at the end of the webinar, because people are going to float in and out of your webinar, and if you wait until the very end, not everybody's going to hear that takeaway or the pitch for your discovery call. So you definitely want to weave the takeaway and the disqualification throughout the webinar so that when people come in and out, you never know when they're going to hear that. And if you just wait until the end, you may actually end up missing a great portion of the people that were on the webinar but just didn't stay until the end. I put together this really great follow-up, follow-through process, and I'd love for you to have it. All you need to do is just click the link below, fill in your details, and I will ship that right out to your email so that you have a good structure on how to get people booked after you have the webinar. Because certainly not everybody's going to take action on the webinar, so it's important to then follow up for those who attended the webinar but did not book a call. You might not get them on the first try, so you need to make sure that there's a process in place to continue to try them for at least 10 touches, because that's what's on average is what it takes to get somebody to take action. So go ahead and grab that below. Just click the link in the description, in the comment section, and I'm going to send that right to you. At the beginning of the video, I promised that I was going to give you the tried and true method of making sure that you get more bookings off of your webinar. Wait for it. Here it is. You have to ask for it. Oh, really, Tom? You're telling me I had to wait all this time to hear that? Well, guess what? Not everybody, and I've heard lots and lots of webinars, not everybody asks for the sale very specifically and gives people very clear and direct directions on what they need to do. In this world, when people are half listening to webinars, especially webinars, now it's not so much if you're doing a stage presentation, because now you can see if people are engaging with you, but when you're doing a webinar, you don't know what they're doing. They're probably on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're cooking dinner, they're with the kids, they're being distracted all over the place. It is even more important to be very specific of what you want them to do. So you have to almost slap them over the head with your offer and the directions on what to do. It can't be veiled in, well, if you really want to do this and this, but you need to say, I want to talk to you if you have these specific questions. And to do that, you're going to need to book a discovery call. So click the link that's on the screen right now and book that discovery call. I mean, it needs to be very, very blatant and very clear what the directions are. So there you go, 3 tips to get more patient bookings off of your next webinar. I hope this was super helpful for you. If it was, please make some comments below, give it a little thumbs up, and share it with some colleagues that could use this information as well. Thank you so much for watching the video. There are some other videos that might be appropriate for you, so just go ahead and click on those as well. And until next time, you have a great day.